We're on the screen.
Here. Yep. New equipment.
All right, so it's 7:05 on Monday, September 18th, 2017, and I'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing we'll do is stand and have a moment of silent reflection. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof?
I have a conflict with the appointments at 7:15, number 2 and number 3, as well as zoning 38 and 39.
That's due to your employer?
Yes, due to my employment.
Okay. Is there anything else? All right, so before we move on to our agenda, we have a few new faces around the horseshoe. So I'd like to have Kathy introduce the formal introduction of who's here and names and everything. So
I'd like to introduce Jennifer Turk, our new clerk for the municipality. And over here, beside Eldon, we have Jeff Little, our new public works manager.
Welcome. So Jennifer's jumped right in this, I guess, earlier today, and then Jeff will be working alongside Eldon for the next week or two. I'm not sure exactly how long Eldon's hanging around for.
Yeah.
I haven't been told, so.
We'll work it out.
So, yeah. So it should be good in the next coming weeks and months and hopefully years of working with both you guys. So.
Thank you.
So we have a few timed events for tonight's meeting. So at 7:15 we have a public meeting for 3 different zoning bylaw amendments, and then at 7:30 we have our committee of adjustment for 2 different consent applications. So we'll move into our minutes of our previous meeting, which was from September 5th, 2017. Do we have a mover and seconder for those minutes? Councillor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. Is there any errors or omissions? None. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so we'll go into the correspondence. The first one is from AMO, and it's AMO Ontario announces Cannabis Control Board. Item number 2 is from Roma, and it's their highlights of their August board meeting. Item number 3 is from the Saddle Bayfield Conservation Authority, and it's the Board of Directors meeting from September 14th, 2017. Item number 4 is from Middlesex County, and it's their Fall Agribusiness Tour. Item number 5 is from Swift, and it appoints Jeff Hogan at their inaugural CEO. And then item number 6 is from the Optimist Club, and it's a notice of special occasions permit. Is there any questions at all for those correspondence? No? So we have a motion to resolve that Council receives and files correspondence items CC1 to CC6. Deputy Mayor Stockman and Councillor Sanders, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're a little early to jump into those public meetings, so we're going to go into our staff report from our CEO Treasurer, Kathy.
The item on my report is the accounts payable approval list for the period September the 1st, 2017 to September 14th, 2017 in the amount of $228,498.87.
Is there any questions on the accounts? I have to find that motion. Just a second. Councillor McKinnon. So that's moved by Councillor McKinnon, second by Deputy Mayor Stockman. Where is it here? And that's resolved the accounts listing for the period September 1st, 2017 to September 14th, 2017 in the amount of $228,498.87 be approved. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Is there anything else, Kathy?
That's everything.
Is there any questions at all for Kathy? Okay, now we need a motion to resolve that council accepts the report of the CAO treasurer as presented. Okay. Councillor Sanders and Deputy Mayor Stockman, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So, is there anything for other business just to fill some time?
I do believe Eldon has an announcement.
Oh, Eldon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, just wanted to inform council and staff that we do now employ the top rodeo or truck driver for the province of Ontario for the municipalities. Coulter Cahill had took top spot in the rodeo last Wednesday.
Good.
Yeah. And Richard Elliott placed 6th as well. So, yeah.
Good for Coulter.
Yeah.
It's good to see.
The phone was buzzing when they got done on Wednesday evening. Yeah, they were excited and glad for him. I said I was hoping one of them was going to win before I retired, but I didn't realize we were going to leave it to the 11th hour to do it. But anyway, that's a good report. There was 40 participants in the rodeo totally. So.
And where did that take place, in Woodstock?
Cornwall.
Cornwall.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
not next door.
So he'll be going to Toronto in February to the OGRA conference to receive the trophy from the Ministry of Transportation.
Excellent.
Good for him.
Good.
Right.
Good for him.
Will we have, I know in the past we've done some kind of presentation at council. Will we be having him hopefully come to a council meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll do a little report up for the next meeting for Jeff will.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we'll put something together for council for our next meeting and get that worked in.
Okay. Excellent. Is there anything else for other business at all? Deputy Mayor Stockman?
Had a call from somebody to do with the Remembrance Day service, wondering which date. Like Remembrance Day is on the Saturday, so wondering if it would go on the 5th, date before, like Sunday before, or the 12th. And I think their preference was to go before.
Yeah, it's been done in the past.
Generally, the committee has chosen the date that council's only paid for the expenses that they incur. The committee has organized it and operated it. So.
Okay. And I told that individual I'd volunteer to help out on the committee. And we did have our second emergency exercise planning meeting, and just last time I mentioned that there would be both training and emergency exercise, and it's going to be remnants of a hurricane coming up through. So, and that'll be, I think, on the 29th of November for us, if I remember correctly. We're doing it together with Middlesex Center and Strathroy Caradoc at Caradoc Community Center from 9 till noon. So there'll be an education component by the conservation authorities, and then exercise after that.
We still have our regular meeting on the 27th of this month, is that right?
Yeah.
September.
September?
Yeah.
No,
This is our
this
second.
is our second meeting in September.
No, I meant our community control.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Emergency meeting.
Yes, I believe the email has been sent out.
Good.
That's all I have.
Okay, is there anything else? Just one thing I'll note on, in our correspondence, we had correspondence number 5, which was regards to SWIFT. So there was quite a discussion at County Council regarding if we're going to be involved with SWIFT or not. The recommendation from staff was to sign an amended agreement and send it back to Swift before, and then for them to look at and possibly sign. The majority of that was just explaining that we need to know, have all the kind of the W's of when will it proceed, how much will it be, and all those questions. And the other part of the recommendation was to have a report from staff to come back about whether or not council would like to move forward with a granting system. So having a grant available for Middlesex County for broadband companies to then access to then further develop broadband within the County of Middlesex. County Council decided to go forward with a recommendation to have a report come back for having a grant style, we were calling like a Made in Middlesex grant for broadband, and we are not, County Council at our level will be signing an agreement, whether it's from Swift, the agreement they'd like us to have, or the agreement that was looked at, and to kind of answer those, the 5 W's as to when everything will continue. So a report will be coming back to council hopefully in the next meeting to see how we could go forward with a grant system for Execulink or Telecom or those ones to expand their broadband within the county and go through that system. So and it was quite a lengthy discussion and to figure out what to do. So okay. There's nothing else for other business. We're going to jump into our public meetings. So we did a motion to resolve the public meetings to hear zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 04-2017, ZBA 05-2017, and ZBA 06-2017 to be opened at 7:17 p.m. Councillor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. So our first one is ZBA 04-2017 with Gord and Marguerite Walker. To come up to the seat there, and I'll then pass it over to Christy to go through the report.
So the first report before council this evening is a report offering favorable consideration of the zoning bylaw amendment application submitted by Mr. and Mrs. Walker. The purpose of this application for zoning bylaw amendment is to implement a condition of consent that was imposed by the Committee of Adjustment for consent B08-2017. This consent application conditionally severed a lot with an approximate area of 0.52 hectares or 1.28 acres in order to accommodate the disposal of the surplus farm dwelling. So the applicants are proposing to amend the zoning of the severed parcel that was created through this consent application from General Agricultural A zone to Surplus Dwelling SD zone. This would recognize the residential use of the land to prohibit the keeping of livestock. Similar to an application we've heard previously, typically the remaining farmlands would be subject to a zone change as well. However, in this case, the remaining farm parcel constitutes the home farm, and an existing dwelling is already on site. As such, the agricultural only zone would not apply. This application was circulated for the requirements of the zoning, for the Planning Act requirements, and the Conservation Authority indicated no concern with the proposed amendment. Based on this, I support the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and have drafted a bylaw for council's consideration this evening. I would recommend that first and second reading of the bylaw be given this evening, and the third reading be withheld until the township has received confirmation of the new legal description for the several lands through a deposited reference plan.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Do you have anything like to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak to this application? Any council members have any questions or comments? No. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through each public meeting application. So we'll be going to the next zoning bylaw, and then we have 2 more, and then we'll be closing the public meeting, and then we'll be hopefully approving those motions to approve the zoning bylaw amendments. So, okay. Thank you.
You done with this?
Yes.
Same question.
So it was short and sweet, but yeah. So stick around until we have that motion passed, so you're assured that it's approved.
All right.
Okay, so the next one is ZBA 05-2017, Jacoba Dodge at 5864 Dale Drive. And And Councillor McKinnon declared a conflict of interest for the next two as her employer is, yeah. Christy,
So the second report before council this evening is again a report offering favorable consideration of the zoning bylaw amendment application that has been submitted by the Dodge Farms. So this zoning application is required again to implement a condition of consent imposed by the Committee of Adjustment for Consent B14 2017. This consent application conditionally severed a lot with an approximate area of 0.45 hectares, 1.12 acres, in order to accommodate the disposal of surplus farm building. The applicants have proposed to rezone the severed parcel, which was created through consent B14 2017 from general agricultural A zone to surplus dwelling SD zone, in order to again recognize the residential use of the lands and to prohibit the keeping of livestock. This application also proposes to amend the zoning of portions of the retained parcel of the consent B14 2017 from general agricultural A zone to agricultural only AO zone to prohibit new residential development on the remnant farm parcel. There are portions of the land that are currently zoned UP environmental protection, and these portions of the land will remain unchanged. This application was circulated per the requirements of the Planning Act, and the Conservation Authority indicated no concern with the zoning bylaw amendment. I support the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and have drafted a bylaw again for council's consideration. I recommend that first and second reading of the bylaw be given this evening and third reading be withheld until the township has received confirmation of a new legal description for the severed lands.
thank you. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yep. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak to this application? Is there any questions or comments from council?
Just a clarification, so you're talking about changing to agriculture only, but your written report says we don't need to change it because it's EP?
Portions. So if you
Oh,
go
okay.
to the map, there's kind of a portion that's
Okay,
hollowed out, and that would be the
so
portion
the zoning would change for that?
for the
little-
yellows, and then the surplus dwelling would be the red, and the parts that
Okay.
are not highlighted would remain PP.
Okay.
It's just a drain that cuts through the property.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other questions or comments? So moving on to the next application, which is also the Dodge Farm Limited, the 6135 Scott. Got it figured out this time.
So this report to council is similar to the previous. It offers favorable consideration of a zoning bylaw amendment application that was submitted by Dodge Farms. The purpose and effect of this application is to again implement a condition of consent that was imposed by the Committee of Adjustment for Consent Application B15 2017 approved earlier this year. That application conditionally severed a lot with an approximate area of 0.479 hectares or 1.18 acres in order to accommodate the disposal of surplus farm building. In this case, the applicant is proposing to amend the zoning of the severed parcel created through the consent application from general agricultural A zone to surplus dwelling SD zone. This would recognize the residential use of the lands and prohibit the keeping of livestock. The applicant is also proposing to amend the zoning of the retained parcel of B15 2017 from general agriculture to agriculture only, and this would prohibit new residential development from being established on the remnant farm parcel. This application again was circulated per the Planning Act requirements, and the Conservation Authority indicated no concern with the zoning bylaw amendment. I support the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and have drafted a bylaw for council's consideration this evening. I recommend that first and second reading of the bylaw be given and that third reading be withheld until the township has received confirmation of the new legal description for the severed lands.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to add? No? And is there anyone in the public now wishing to speak to this application? Seeing none. Is there any questions or comments from council? Great, thank you very much. Okay, so we need a motion to resolve that the public meetings to hear zoning bylaw amendments as ZBA 04, 05, and 06 be closed at 7:24 p.m. Councilor Hendricks and Deputy Mayor Stockman, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. And what we'll do is we'll skip motion number 5 and we'll do 6 and 7, so then Councilor McKinnon can come back in for the next ones. So the first one that we'll discuss is the ZBA 05-2017, which is the 5864 Indale Drive. Want to have a motion for approval? And seconder, Councillor Hendricks. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And the next one is ZBA 06-2017 at 6135 Scotchmere Drive. Motion for approval. Councillor Hendricks and Councillor Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. I'll grab Councillor McKinnon's attention. Okay, so this is for approval of ZBA 04-2017. That's for 4071 Walker's Drive. Mover and seconder to approve that. Okay. Councillor McKinnon and second by Councillor Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give a few more minutes to jump into it. Give a few more minutes to fill in. Anything else for other business?
Well, okay, if I don't know if it's appropriate now or not, but the London paper, there was a write-up regarding, what is it, Dunwich are against legalizing marijuana. It was quite a write-up this morning. I'm kind of against it myself. I just wonder if we as a council would support that, or would we be interested in supporting that, or it's going to come up that we're going to be asked whether we're going to support it or not. I thought it was quite a write-up. I don't know.
My thought would be to get further information, maybe invite a member of the Middlesex London Health Unit out to have a presentation on what kind of effects that would be if it is approved and going forward, to see what that would affect in the community. But Kathy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we can invite someone out to give a report on what the effects are going to potentially be, and we can see what other avenues there are that are going to be affected, just how they're going to roll it out, and how it's going to affect us with policing and also with zoning requirements.
Okay, I'm for that.
Councillor
Just in
McKinnon?
addition to Councillor Sanders there, Sarnia radio station had quite a program on this very subject, and one caller called in and he said that given that they're going to be, the outlets are all going to be the LCBOs, he's in a very small community and he would not drive the hour to go to the LCBO, so he'll just go down to his local dealer and get it. He said it'll be much faster for him. So, yeah. But
I thought it was kind of an interesting story.
it was a good article in the
It was a
London
very good
Press.
article,
I
I
read
thought
that.
it was. So I know I would be in favor of that, having some go out and give us
Okay.
some kind of a presentation or, yeah.
So Kathy, we'll get a hold of somebody at the health unit to have them come out and do a presentation. Okay. Is there anything else? So that.
Drop seekers.
That's true. All right, so we'll have a motion to resolve the council convene as the committee of adjustment for the purpose of hearing consent application B18-2017 and consent application B19-2017 and minor variance application A05-2017 at 7:30 p.m. Councillor McKinnon and second by Councillor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so our first consent application is for B18-2017, and it's for R.L. Peters Farm, Inc.
Yep.
If you just come to seat there. So, and I'll have Christy go through the application.
Thank you. So the first report before the committee this evening recommends favorable consideration of consent B18 2017 as well as application for minor variance A05 2017. I also include conditions of approval for the proposed severance and proposed minor variances. The applicants are requesting to sever a dwelling that's been...
The minor variance one is the Strybosh one?
Oh,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
the Peters, sorry.
Sorry.
Can be confused too.
Sorry. That's my error. So there is two consents associated with this one application. One is for the severance of the surplus farm dwelling, and the second is to establish a permanent easement to facilitate access to an existing water well. So Mr. Peters here is proposing to sever a lot with an approximate area of 0.56 hectares and 1.38 acres with a frontage of approximately 71 meters along Egermount Drive. His remnant farm parcel would be approximately 38.4 hectares or 94.9 acres. As we've seen previously, policy and regulatory frameworks generally permit such surplus farm dwelling severances as what's being proposed, subject to a number of evaluation criteria as defined within the provincial policy statement, the county official plan, and the township official plan. Based on information provided by the applicant, as well as information and circulatory comments received, I'm satisfied that farm consolidation has been achieved and the dwelling is surplus to the needs of the farm operation. The dwelling appears to be habitable and was constructed prior to January 1st, 1999. I note that the lands proposed to be retained are without livestock facilities, and as such, MBS 1 does not apply in this situation. I would advise that the lands to be retained will require a zone change to the agricultural only land use zone. This would prohibit new residential uses on the remnant farm parcel. Similarly, the lands to be severed will require a zone change to surplus dwelling zone to recognize the disposal of the farm and limit the range of uses permitted on the lands. The chief building official conducted a walkthrough of the dwelling in July. At this time, he noted that there were some concerns related to the structural soundness of the attached garage. A condition of consent has been recommended to address what he's noted as structural deficiencies. Based on the above, I'm generally satisfied that the criteria for the severance of the surplus farm dwelling has been achieved for the subject lands, or they can be met appropriately addressed through conditions of a provisional approval. With respect to the application for consent to establish a permanent easement to facilitate access to an existing water well, I'm also satisfied that the intent of the provincial policy statement, the county official plan, and the township official plan are maintained, and the proposed easement is appropriate to good sound land use planning. So this application was circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. The chief building official, drainage superintendent, and county engineer provided conditions for approval. We did receive comments from the Osable Bayfield Conservation Authority today, and they have indicated that there are no natural heritage or natural hazard concerns with the proposed severance. Based on the above, I recommend the following. That application B18 2017, submitted under Section 53 of the Planning Act, be granted subject to the following conditions. One, that the certificate of consent be given within 1 year of the date of notice of decision. Two, that the applicant's solicitor submit an undertaking to register an electronic transfer of title. Three, that a zoning bylaw amendment that recognizes the residential use of the severed lot and prohibits new dwellings on the retained lot be in full force and effect. Four, that the applicant establish a permanent easement over the lands to be retained in favor of the lands to be severed to facilitate access to the existing private water well. Five, that the dwelling unit be deemed habitable to the satisfaction of the township. Six, that the existing attached garage and lean-to be brought to a residential standard or be otherwise removed to the satisfaction of the township. Seven, that an adequate and potable water supply be demonstrated to exist to the satisfaction of the township. Eight, that independent accesses to the lands to be severed and the lands to be retained be confirmed to the satisfaction of the township. Nine, that if necessary, a revised assessment schedule in accordance with the Drainage Act be commissioned and paid for by the owners to the satisfaction of the township. 10, that the owner enter into a severance agreement with the township in order to advise future owners of the severed lot of consent B18 2017 of normal farm practices occurring in the area. 11, that any outstanding taxes for the subject lands be paid in full. 12, that a preliminary survey showing the location of the permanent easement and private water well, any required land indication, the lands being severed, and the location of all buildings and structures, including their setbacks from the property lines and all septic system, be submitted to the satisfaction of the township. 13, that 2 copies of the reference plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the township. And further, that application for consent B18 2017, which proposes to establish a permanent easement over the lands to be retained in favor of the lands to be severed to facilitate access to a private water well be granted. I would note that there's an additional recommended condition of consent, and that is Chris Trainee's comments for land dedication was missed from the list. So if you could make that amendment and include it within the recommendation, it would be appreciated.
Is that everything for the report? Okay. Rob, do you have anything you'd like to add at all for council?
No.
Is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this application? Okay. Your name and address, please.
Rob Van Wittering at 1959 Egremont Drive, right beside the property.
Okay.
So if it gets severed, it's an existing house, can they get permit to build a new outbuilding anywhere on that property? Like a dry shed or a shop or anything like that?
Christy?
So if I may, on the severed portion of land or on the retained portion?
On the severed portion.
So on the severed portion of land, there would be limitations on size as to what could be constructed. So in the provisions that you established for surplus dwelling, they would be limited, but yes, they could build an outbuilding. It wouldn't be allowed to be an agricultural standard, it'd have to be to a residential standard. And then on the retained lands, it would be to an agricultural standard, and a much larger structure would be permitted.
So what's the property line easement for a new building? Is that still 4 feet or is that more now to an existing neighbor?
So the setback between the building and your property line, so it would be an internal side yard of 3 meters.
3 meters. On that existing property, could we move that if Rob and I decided to maybe purchase something off of him? Could we just have an add-on to my property, or is that out of the question?
I don't quite understand.
He's asking if he could do a lot adjustment, so then there's a further distance between their dwelling and the lot line.
That could be something that could be evaluated, but I don't know if it's pertinent to this
No,
application in front of us this evening. So we could definitely discuss that, but I don't think it will impact what's in front of us right now.
Rob and I need to discuss that. I guess privately somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions, comments?
Oh, I'm good for now.
Okay. Does council have any questions or comments on this application? Councilman McKinnon?
I just continue to ask for the definement of habitable, and in discussions with the CAO this evening, she's assured me that she's doing a report and that we'll be treating everyone equally, so.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No. So we have the recommendation there with the original 13 and with the 14th condition, which is the road widening from the county. Do you have a mover and seconder for that recommendation?
So be it.
Councilor McKinnon, and second by Councillor Hendricks. Any further discussion?
No.
Nope. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next applications is the B19-2017 and the A05-2017, the estate of Martin Strybosh at 3137 Neptune Drive, and it looks like no one's here for that application to come forward. Want to go to the report, Christy?
Do that. So this report is offering favorable consideration of consent B19-2017 and recommends conditions for approval for the proposed severances. The report also recommends favorable consideration of application for minor variance A05-2017 to permit a reduced lot area on the retained lands of the consent B19-2017. So the purpose of this application is to sever 2 residential parcels from a 0.58 hectare or 1.44 acre vacant residential property in order to create 2 residential building lots. The severed lot 1 would be approximately 0.19 hectares or 0.48 acres, and severed lot 2 would be approximately 0.22 hectares or 0.55 acres. Both these lots would have frontage onto Pike Road. The retained lots would be the parcel at the top, would have frontage onto Napperton Drive, and would be approximately 0.16 hectares or 0.41 acres. The application of for minor variance is required to recognize the deficient lot area of that retained parcel. The lot area that's being proposed is 1,652 square meters or 0.41 acres, whereas the minimum lot size is 1,850 square meters. So policy and regulatory frameworks generally support growth and development in settlement areas, subject to evaluation criteria. I've evaluated the proposal before us this evening, and I'm satisfied that the 2 residential lots can be considered infill development within a defined residential area. There's direction within your official plan that states that such development shall not adversely impact surrounding land uses or adjacent wells. These residential developments are to be compatible and have direct access onto public roads with adequate lot frontage. I know that within the submission package, Mr. Schreibosch provided comprehensive drawings that included proposed lot configurations, preliminary servicing details, and possible building envelopes for each parcel. Based on this submission, I'm satisfied that the proposed severances are supportable in principle. I recommend, however, as conditions of approval, that the applicant demonstrate that water supply, sanitary, sewage disposal, and drainage are adequate and to the satisfaction of the township. This would be through the provision of engineered site servicing and grading plans. So based on the proposed severances as a result of the creation of these 2 residential lots, the lot to be retained would have a deficient lot area. Within the urban residential zone of the zoning bylaw, minimum lot area again is 1,850 square meters, whereas what is being proposed is 1,652 square meters. This minor variance has been evaluated under Section 45 of the Planning Act, and I offer the following comments. The zoning bylaw provision that requires a minimum lot area is to ensure that there remains adequate area on a site for private servicing, landscaping, open space, and amenity area, which are required to support the dwelling and provide sufficient privacy between surrounding land uses. I'm satisfied that the proposal would facilitate the appropriate use of the land being residential, as permitted within the official plan and zoning bylaw. I'm of the opinion that any servicing impacts resulting from the requested relief would be identified and addressed within the engineered site servicing and grading plans. To summarize, I'm satisfied that the criteria for the creation of 2 residential lots and the accompanying request for relief for the minimum lot area requirement of the zoning bylaw has been met or can be appropriately addressed via condition of consent. So this application was circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. The CBO County Engineer provided conditions for approval, and the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority indicated that a groundwater impact assessment is recommended, and the assessment should address the ability of the development lands to treat sewage effluent to meet acceptable limits. So based on the above, I recommend that application B19-2017 be granted and be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the certificate of consent shall be given within 1 year of date of notice of the decision. 2, that the applicant's solicitor shall submit an undertaking in a form satisfactory to register an electronic transfer of title. 3, that the applicant enter into a severance agreement with the township, and that severance agreement registered on both the title of both the severed lots, and that such severance agreement address, among other matters, all financial, legal, planning, and engineering matters, including but not limited to the payment of the township's engineering, legal, planning review costs, entrance locations, construction works within the road allowance, lot grading, engineered site servicing plans, groundwater impacts, drainage, building envelopes, septic systems, and potable wells, all to the satisfaction of the township. 4, that the existing accessory structure, which is a dog kennel, located on the lot to be severed, lot 1, be removed to the satisfaction of the township. 5, that independent accesses to the lots to be severed and the lots to be retained be provided, and that any necessary work permits be obtained from the authority having jurisdiction. 6, that any outstanding property taxes for the land subject to this consent application be paid in full. 7, that a draft reference plan be prepared by an OLS for the purposes of facilitating the transactions of this consent, and that this plan be approved by the township prior to being deposited with the registry office. And 8, that 2 copies of the reference plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the township. I would further recommend that application for minor variance A05-2017, which proposes relief from section 11.2 of the zoning bylaw to permit a reduced lot area of 1,652 square meters for the retained lands of this consent application, be granted and be subject to the following condition: that the engineered site servicing and grading plan demonstrate adequate available area for private on-site services on the lot to be retained.
Thank you, Christy. Is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this application?
Say that again, Kurt.
Is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this application?
I oppose to this. I'm Charlie Solomons at 27967 Pike Road. Because the property between us and Mrs. Strybosh is smaller, or too small for a building permit, right? Because it's supposed to be thinking it's 4.6 and it's 4.3, something like that, whatever. Okay, also, our well is pretty close to that lot line. We had our water tested a few years ago. Our water's high in nitrate. So if we put another house inside of there, what's that gonna do to the water? Martin did drill 4 sand points 2 years back when he was still alive, and they came up dry, so there's no surplus of water over there. So I think that property is too small to put another house on there. Because you have to, right? You have to put in a septic system, and that's going to contaminate the ground more. Okay? So I just think it's not adequate. Further down to the south, they want to put 2 more houses in there. So that septic again will seep down into the water well, or the water bed, right? So that's going to affect the water from people across the road. And to, if ever Martin sells his other house. So that's all kind of downhill, and then Mumas are on the other side of the road. I think you have to go out in the country more. That's my point of view. Okay.
Thank you.
So if I may respond, the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority has indicated that this is a highly vulnerable aquifer area, and that's why they have recommended that a groundwater assessment be undertaken as a condition of the consent. So I have included that to be addressed within the proposed severance agreement. Similarly, the comments related to building envelopes and available area, I've also conditioned that if they are not able to appropriately demonstrate to the satisfaction of the township that available area is present, that again would be means for not granting them a final severance. It is a little bit of a smaller lot, however, there are smaller lots within this area. So just based on what I was provided, Mr. Strybosh did do quite a comprehensive plan of where building envelopes, wells, well setbacks, septic bed setbacks would be. It appeared to be adequate, but that, again, that would have to be verified through engineering, site servicing, and grading plans.
Councillor McKinnon?
Question there, Christie. The lot proposed to be retained in the one that's subject to the minor variance, if it was built on, would it access off of Nackerton?
Yeah, if I may, I have consulted the county engineer on this one, and he is satisfied that as long as the access point is on the west side of the property, almost adjacent to the property line, it would have sufficient distance from the intersection. So they would require a work permit to establish that. So the county engineer would have jurisdiction and is aware of the situation.
Thank you.
Councillor Hendricks?
I know we've dealt a lot with this chunk of property in this area before, but I didn't see it on the application. There is a business at the back. Does lot 1 not cut off access to that lot?
So if I may, there was a previous consent that this council has seen a couple of times now for the property actually immediately to the south of lot 2. So Mr. Strybosh Jr. Currently has active applications to create a lot there where his dwelling is. However, there is an access easement that extends to the rear of the property to facilitate continued access to his shop.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Where is he gonna get access? Where is he gonna get access?
this
to
is his house,
Just
so
in the
he's
final
gonna
step
do
where
it
I
this
go.
way.
Okay, this is the lot we're arguing about.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
he'd
that's
have to
too
come
small.
off now, but how's he gonna get in there? the lot that he wants to retain,
Yeah.
the smaller lot, would have to come off Napperton Drive. Where else would he get access?
So we did originally propose a little bit different configuration where there was a little tip that extended down into what is now Lot 1. However, upon, I guess, further consultation with the estate or trustees, they opted to go with that configuration. So the different configuration would have allowed them sufficient size. It wouldn't have been deficient in lot area. However, it would have been a little bit awkward, and they opted to go with this way and or this configuration and pursue the minor variance.
Yeah, like, I hope you don't make it back like Minceville in there, like that kind of, that housing in there, like, that's a mess. You can't even get back there with a fire truck. So,
Well, if he comes off Napperton, he could.
could park on the road.
Any other questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment? Deputy Mayor Stockman?
There's nobody here from Strabog to answer the question. Do you know if those septic fields were set up on a simple septic system or secondary treatment? Because that would make a difference too, as to, you know, the quality of the water coming out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that he did consult. I don't know if it was with Jeff in this office, but he did have a variety of information brought forward. I can't confirm if it was, I have no idea. But that would be part of the groundwater impact assessment. He would have to provide rationale for the best type of system for these lands and in a vulnerable area.
Any other questions? I just had one question. I realized that when you were going through the conditions on item number 3, condition number 3, I just want to make sure that we know what we're talking about with both of these severed lots. The way I look at the application, just to make sure, because in my opinion, with this severance, there's one severed lot and there's 2 retained lots, in my opinion. So I just want to make sure that this severance agreement will be put towards the proper lots, if approved.
Okay, so in my opinion, the retained lot is that top lot. That's the lot that's existing, and he's opted to split the remaining portion in half. So this severance agreement would apply to lot 1 and lot 2, and then the condition for the engineered site servicing and grading plan, which basically mirrors, would have to apply to that retained lot. So either way, we'd still have the sufficient information provided for all 3 lots. So we kind of got caught up in the office of whether or not the consent agreement could apply to the retained lot. So this was the best way to
understood. Okay. Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? We have the recommendation from Christy with the 8 conditions, and then the 2 conditions with the condition for the minor variance.
So we're looking at 2. We're looking at lot 1 and 2.
And
And
that. So
yes.
it's 3 lots.
Okay. So what are we doing? What are we voting on first?
So it'd be all together. So it'd be all together, meaning that Christy can explain.
So the way I've structured the recommendation is that I've recommended that the creation of these 2 lots be supported. However, council may opt to support one, they may support both, or they may support neither. So really it's a discretion. If council would like to put forward an alternative recommendation with similar or different conditions, that's an option as well. But I've paired them because I support both in principle, provided that they can achieve these conditions.
So if I support 1 and 2 lot, so then I have to be 2 different ones, because I would not support the smaller lot, so I don't support that. So then we have to have 2 separate, right?
Yeah, so so if you support the severance, the leftover piece is the part that requires the minor variance. So it's kind of tricky to offer support for the severance and then not support the minor variance, because by supporting, you're creating that efficient lot area.
I still want to understand it. I'm in support of 2 lots, I'm not in support of the 3rd lot. So how are we gonna do this?
So just to be clear, so on the picture,
Yeah, I think I
the
want
lot,
to.
yeah, and with the yellow
Yes.
section, so that's currently one parcel.
All three.
That's one parcel is all those three. So what they're doing is with lot 1 having that severance there, it then creates 3 lots. So if you allow for lot 1 and 2, that lot 1 that automatically creates lot 2 that you're seeing labeled, and also the yellow label as well, that lot.
So it's either none or all.
Council may opt to defer on the basis that the applicant is not here this evening and you may have further questions. That I think that may be an option for you to consider as well. I was under the impression that there would be somebody in attendance this evening to answer your questions because it is a fairly complex application. So I apologize.
Well, I would move to defer. Can I do that?
You just did. If
I
you have a
will
seconder.
move to defer till Mr. Strybos is present.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Stockman seconds that. Any discussion? Yeah. Councillor Hendricks?
I would hope that somebody would be doing some testing of the soil and stuff in the meantime, so that we have as much information as possible when we come back.
Okay, any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Stockman?
See, because to further on what Marianne said, because if we go a few lots further down, when Marianne Nieuwenhuizen was asking for some work there, it required more testing as well. So I think everybody in that area is in vulnerable groundwater area, so that probably should be part of the application.
So if I may, might it be advisable to recommend that the recommendation for the groundwater assessment from St. Clair be done kind of as a condition of the deferral, and until that's addressed, they refrain from bringing it back into council?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And
I'll
Councillor
accept
Hendricks,
that
you're
as a
happy
friendly amendment.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Once the condition for the deferral, once it is brought back, will there be a new notice that goes out?
Yes, there will be for
Okay, so there'll be a new notice that goes out to the surrounding
so
property.
we will, Kathy will notify Mr. Sharbosh that the decision has been deferred. So the onus will be placed on him to undertake that assessment once the results have been brought forward to administration, and I would assume be peer reviewed by St. Clair. Then we'd be in a position to bring this application back to council. We would establish a date and circulate the same parties that were notified on this original application.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Alright. So we just have, so that's all we have for our committee of adjustments. We need a motion now to resolve that the committee of adjustment be closed at, what time is it now? 7:58 p.m. and council reconvene in regular session. Councillor Sanders and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so look for that notice in the mail. Is there anything else for anything else for Christy? Before she goes away. Nope. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Is there anything else for other business, or do we jump right into the bylaws?
I'm good.
Okay. And Councillor McKinnon, would you like us to separate out the first and second readings for number 30 and 39?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we need a motion to resolve that the first and second reading be given to bylaw number 37, 2017, the zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 04, 2017 for walkers, and that the bylaw be signed by the mayor and CAO treasurer, and the corporate seal be attached.
So moved.
And that's Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And then the next year resolved that the first and second readings be given to bylaw number 38, 2017, zoning bylaw amendment for ZBA 05, 2017 for Dodge, and also bylaw number 39, 2017, zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 06, 2017, Dodge Farms Limited, and the bylaws be signed by the mayor and CAO treasurer, and the corporate seal be attached. Councillor Hendricks, second by Councillor Sanders. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And then the next ones are resolved that the first and second and third reading be given to bylaw number 36, 2017, and that's to appoint our clerk, and bylaw number 40, 2017, and that's confirm council proceedings, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and CAO treasurer, and the corporate seal be attached. Councillor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And a resolve that the meeting be adjourned at 8 p.m. Deputy Mayor Stockman and Councillor Sanders. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.